Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence third Thursday call.
It's July 20th, 2017.
He knows. I'm Noelle Marshall of Light Partners with my beloved.
I'm Bob Warner with a new haircut because she stopped liking my Nick Nolte look. So we are so happy everybody is here this evening. Special call this evening to be supportive of our own Co-Creators Convergence community. And so it's going to be a delightful evening together. I just know it's true. For those that might watch this recording at a later date, we want to let you know that the Co-Creators Convergence is a group of pioneering souls that find themselves in standing in the strength of our own creation and that which we co-create with each other in this community, with others in the world, and with pure spirit. We initially began as many of us as students of Barbara Marx Hubbard and students of Buckminster Fuller and others, but we know that the reason that we've been called here to be a part of this very loving and supportive family is because of the pure spirit that's in each and every one of us, and recognizing our purpose in the world and supporting each other in that purpose. So there are 4 ways to connect with the Co-Creators Convergence. One is our website, CoCreatorsConvergence.com. The second is our very active Facebook page, 24/7. Things are going on there. The third is on this third Thursday call of each month, where we invite others to get to know our community and so that we can get to know them. And the fourth is when we have Co-Creators live once a year in the summertime. We just completed our 5th annual at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado, and we're looking forward to next year and next year's theme about the heart and the heart-mind. So all of our calls, this call is being recorded, and all of our calls going back about 3 years now are all on the Co-Creators Convergence website under archives.
Very good. Thank you, Bob. So welcome everyone to this call. We're so glad to see this nice turnout. And the purpose of these calls really is to lift up our members. So tonight we're really excited that we're going to have Lynda, who also looks like she's sporting a new haircut, and Yemanya, Carey, split the time tonight. And at the end, I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk about Dom and her. And Julie Cruel has sent out some dates of possibilities for a trip to Dom and her.
And when you say Julie Cruel, you actually mean Jennifer Ivanko.
Jennifer Ivanko. I knew as soon as I saw Kathy Mason wrinkle her forehead, I was messing something up.
Welcome, Carey, and welcome,
But it is
Barb,
good to have Julie
and
here.
welcome, Julie.
So anyway, without any further ado, we are going to turn it over to Yemanya, amazing Carey, to center us and bring us in. So we're going to put everyone on mute, and except for Yemanya, we're going to unmute and pass the golden emerald encrusted talking stick to you.
Thank you. So lovely to be here this evening. Really excited to be sharing and to get this party started. So if you can all find a nice place where you can set aside what it is that you're doing. If you're driving, just keep driving. Don't close your eyes. But if you are not driving, please just take a moment to close your eyes and tune yourself inward. Taking a deep breath into the body, filling your breath into the lungs, and slowly allowing the breath to exhale. And with the next breath in, we fill up with the breath of spirit, the Ha breath, deeply in. And on the exhalation, we just allow all the stress, worries, the things we've been thinking about, worrying about, planning, everything's just releasing out of the body. Pulling yourself back inward into this space and into this place. And just imagine from about a foot above your head, there's a white light, a beautiful, purifying white light, and it just starts to pour its rays in through the top of your head, through the crown chakra. And allow this white light to just pour in, filling the head and the face down into the neck and through the shoulders, down the arms into the fingertips, and through the chest cavity and through all of your organs, all the way into the abdominal, into the pelvis. This white light just trickling down deeper down through the legs. And it starts to penetrate into the muscle tissue and the nervous system, into the bone marrow, and into every single cell as this white light now just makes its way out through the bottoms of his feet. This beautiful cascading white light waterfall through your body. Breathing it in, breathing it out. Just allowing it to purify and cleanse every thought and action that has been consuming your mind today. And then on that beautiful white waterfall now changes to a golden light, the golden rays of the sun warming and awakening through your body, through the head, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the chest, the abdominal, into the pelvis and down through the legs and out the bottoms of the feet. The awakening, coming into the very presence of what is here and what is now. And the cascading light now gently decides to stop and brings you back into the breath space, taking another deep breath in. Aha, the breath. Another deep breath in and out. And then just slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes and allow yourself to come back into this space and back into this room. Centered, calm, present, with an open heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your presence right now.
Thank you, Yemanya.
Wonderful to be in this circle of love and calm down from all the day's excitement. Thank you.
Boomer liked it too.
Boomer liked it too. Had to come in the room. So, welcome, Henry, and wonderful to see your face and have your spirit with us. We're going to start this evening with Lynda telling us about that enlightened spirit that she knew she was when she came to this planet. I'm unmuting you right now. And how many of you, show of hands, how many of you did the breakout session with Lynda at the Convergence? Where she talked her way through, yeah, Talia, I knew you were there. Wonderful. Well, this is fantastic. So when we concluded that, I suggested to Lynda that she share this with on the third Thursday call. And I'll just kind of let her introduce what it's all, whoops. Sheila Blake raised her hand. She was there too. Let you introduce what it is that you want to do. The way I describe it is that Lynda's looking for a place where she can workshop and develop this story that she has. It's a story, but it's not a story, if you know what I mean. It's not a story. It's about her and about her spirit and her incarnation this time. We wanted to be supportive in every way that we can, Lynda, to help you develop this for whatever it might become in the future. When you're on Broadway doing your one-woman play, all of us are going to be able to say, we remember her when we're all sitting in the front row to watch that and support you in that way. But tonight, we'd like you to share with us for the first half of the call what you'd like to and how you'd like us to be of support to you. So over to you, Lynda.
Okay. and she's
Beautiful.
muted, and I'm going to speak with you. Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here and to see all of you again. It's just so beautiful. And a few of you that I haven't seen for a while, a few of you weren't at, I know Carey wasn't at the last CCC. And I know some of you, like Kim, she was doing her her breakout session while I was doing mine, so she didn't get to come. So there were some people that didn't get to see this. So let me just give you a little bit of a background about how this whole idea came into being. I've really been given the direction that we need to lighten up when we're communicating our message with people. And we're in a place and a time in the world now where things are really heavy. And you know, we don't change anybody, and we don't actually wake anybody up. They have to wake up on their own. But what we can do is we can give them, we can show them, shine our lights, and hope that they'll see it. You know, create the petri dish in which we can all stand, and maybe it will rub off on them. So, my life purpose apparently is to write, and I've known this. So people started telling me, so here's the thing. I wonder if you're not in a really noisy background, I wonder if it would be better to unmute everybody. And then that way, if you have questions, because I really want it to be more interactive than me just like talking for, you know, whatever the time is we have. And if I don't see you, just, you know, kind of yell, but just kind of wave if you have a question, or if something I've said doesn't kind of make sense. So
Lynda, I've unmuted everyone, and
Okay.
I would ask everybody, if you're in a noisy background, if you would mute yourself, if you're not sitting quietly.
I'm in a noisy background, so I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. And if you all are moving, Sarah, you might want to mute since you're in motion.
Because I'm not sure how to do it.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Done. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for asking, Lynda.
Welcome. So I've always known that I would just write something, because I think the first time I remember somebody telling me, oh, you should write a book, well, I was like 12 years old. So, you know, so I've always known writing was something, and I've had the impulse to write. And I guess for a long time, I always thought it was going to be my life story. But when the time came to actually sit down and start writing, that isn't what happened. That isn't what came out. Something completely different came out. And in fact, I'm not done. I know most of you have seen this because there were the copies that I gave everybody. So, you know, here it is, volume 1. And at the top, you know, it says Humanity's Handbook for Living Consciously in the 21st Century. And that's kind of light workers speak for the new Bible. And I don't say that unless I'm in a trusted group. Like, this is not something I'm going to stand on Broadway stage and say, even probably, because it's a little big for me, for anybody, I think. But that's ultimately what I'm writing is it's designed to help people put into context what they see and go through on a daily basis. And it starts, I don't know if anybody read it yet, but I start really in the beginning with concepts like time and space and, you know, what is reality. I break down religion and where it came from. I kind of break down where we came from based on, you know, what general accepted theories are, and I throw a couple of theories out that I've been given that make me look at the world differently. And so one of the first things that people will ask is, well, how did you get this name Lamp? And that's sort of the beginning of this very strange story of my life. Because when I was little, my maiden name is, well, the name I was born with is Lynda Ann Martin. And my mother believed herself to be a victim. And so, but that's a different part of this story. I'll get back to that in a minute. But she was very proper. You know, she was born in 1915. So and she was 40 when she had me. So when I was little, she still wore white gloves and little hats with veils, you know, and she was very proper. And so she would introduce me to people when we would be out, like walking, and I would be, you know, I'm like 2. I started walking and talking when I was 6 months old. But people would always say the same thing to her. And I never really understood it. And I really, quite frankly, thought every adult was crazy. Because they'd say, oh, it's just like a little man without the beat. Or at least that's what I would hear. And I never understood that because I was nothing like a lamb. I was really not a lamb. And so my whole life, you know, I'm growing up and I always have this thing of why did everybody always think I was a lamb? And then fast forward to my first husband, and his last name was Banghart. And all of a sudden, if I took his name, I would have been that lamb. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going there. And I really was like, really? This is what you had planned for me all along? No. And I just went into resistance. I'm not becoming a lamb. So I didn't I dropped the M and I became a lab. And that was kind of okay. I could live with that. And so fast forward about 10 years and he forgets he's married and I end up single again. And I end up in Alaska. And lo and behold, I'm going to build a B&B. And everybody says, oh, well, when you get ready to hire your builder, and they'd point, you know, like that way. And they'd say, hire Paul. He's your neighbor. And he's really good and he's really fast. Well, what I didn't realize, I mean, all that was true, but about half of those people were also matchmaking. And I had no idea. So it didn't matter. I hired him. And he built my first cabin. And in that process of building that first cabin, we kind of became a couple. And then that cabin burned down and I became homeless. And because we were a couple, he took me in. And eventually we married. His last name starts with a P. And what's interesting about this is that we got married in 2001. And what I decided was I'm not dropping the Martin. I'm just going to take his. I'll just run it all together. I'll make the Lynda and the Ann the first name, and Martin will be the middle name, and Paquette will be the last name. I got my social security card. I got my driver's license, did all that paperwork. Never once did I look at what my initials were. I didn't look at what my initials were for 8 years. I didn't realize that I had become the lamp that people had always said I was until 2009. I happened to be reading Baird T. Spalding's Life and Teaching in the Masters of the Far East. And in book 5, he goes through this thing about being the light, being the lamp. And this voice in my head said, will you finally see that this is who you're meant to be? And I was like, what do you mean? And I heard, look at your initials. And that was the beginning of the path that I'm on now. Even though I was born awake, I think had I known those people were saying I was a lamp when I was little, I wouldn't be here now, because what I was sent here to do is really big. And although I've known it was big my whole life, if I'd known it was that big way back then, I think I would have been in so much resistance or challenged that I don't think I would have followed the directions I was given. Question, Noelle.
Well, at CCC, you were telling us about that you had a discussion with your guides before you came here.
I did.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of interesting too, that, the discussion that you had and this being born awake part. So evidently you were born awake, had an argument, was born awake, and went to sleep, and then woke up. Is that correct?
It is. And so let me just run and turn the heat off, because I'm about to bake myself right out of the room.
About ready to what?
Bake yourself out of the room.
Oh, okay.
The heater's on.
Okay, I'm back. And see, we're in Alaska. I had the fireplace on. Yeah, so let's go back and start that part of the story. So that's how I came to have the name. And when I came to write the book, my coach, Patrick Snow, said I couldn't have my whole name on the book. And I said, well, I can't. He said, you have to drop one of those names. And I said, well, I can't. There's a whole story behind this. I can't drop any of the names. And he goes, well, then just use the initials. There, you're Lynda Lamp. There, done. And it just, when he said it, I don't know, something just happened. And it wasn't even, I didn't hear a voice or anything. It was just an energetic, like I'd stepped into something, and it was like, oh, yeah, that's what it is. So from that point forward, the writing of the book became really an easy thing to do. But it's not done, like you guys know, that's just volume 1. So let's go back to the beginning. The first thing I remember is actually being in the dark and having a conversation. And the conversation was with multiple entities, and I don't have a visual for them. I just know that there were at least 3 entities in this conversation besides myself. And the conversation was about coming back into physical form on this planet in this lifetime. And I didn't want to do it. I had, and I know this now through past life regressions, although at the time, I don't have those memories from then, but I know that I lived during, in a concentration camp during World War II. So I was here not that long ago. And I actually know that my dying words in that life were, "This isn't fair." And I came into this lifetime with that imprint of life is not fair. And it wasn't until I had that healing that I was able to let that go and realize where that whole imprint of life not being fair came from. So, and hang on, I need a Kleenex. So I was having these conversations, and what I was being asked to do was to come into form to make a difference in this lifetime. And I don't remember the specific conversations or if we ever even got specific about how that difference would take shape or in what form that difference would be, but that it was necessary, it was really important, and that for whatever reason, for the job I was being given, I was the only one who could do it. And I really didn't want to. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a concept of the time that this went on, but I was like, no, There really, it was. I can kind of relate it to something that I've lived through in this life. When I was in my 20s, I was working in theater in New York City, and I wanted to be a stage manager. That was what I was really shooting for. But I found myself doing a lot of star dressing, because you can dress a star and not have to be in the union of those, whatever those people are. I forget that union name. But anyway, so Ann Miller was getting ready to go on the road with the Sugar Babies, in the Sugar Babies musical with Mickey Rooney, and I knew the stage manager. And they wanted me to go, and this was the pre-Broadway tour. So this is like when they get all the kinks out. You know, it's like when they're working all the bugs out of the show, from the script to the costumes to the actors to everything, right? And they take it on the road. And, and you know, it can be exciting, but it can also really be kind of hell. Very emotional people. I mean, it's just like, it's really, and these are stars. I mean, she was a MGM star, a Hollywood star. And when you bring a Hollywood star and you try to put them on Broadway, same with Mickey Rooney, and then you have that whole thing of the way they used to be treated in Hollywood and now the way they're being treated in theater. It's overwhelming. They couldn't give me enough money to go on the road with them. They kept calling me back and upping their thing, and upping the per diem, and upping the housing allowance, and upping the pay. And it's like, you don't get it. There's not enough money in the world to make me go on the road with you people. And I turned that down. And that's the same feeling I had when we were having these discussions about come into form, come help. We have this project, you need to help. And I'm like, no way, you can't pay me enough. And then then they said, well, what if this guy comes? And they offered up my soulmate, my twin flame, whatever, you know, word you want to use for that connection, that I'll go anywhere and do anything person. That's like, there isn't enough money to keep me away from this one. And so there I was. It was the conundrum of, there isn't enough money. You couldn't give me anything to go do this, what you're asking me to do. And now you're saying he'll come with me, and I can't say no to that. Well.
Sorry, is it okay that I ask some questions?
I love it. I love it.
All right. I thought you did, but I just wanted to.
It makes it more interesting.
Anybody else can put their hand up too. But now I'm forgetting what my question was. Oh, were they, you know, I know you came in with a big job. Were they more specific about what they were tasking you with, if you will?
Well, they were, but it was in very general terms. It was in very general terms, but it was really in big terms. You know, kind of like, and that's the thing. I don't like to use even the term that I remember, because I know philosophically that there's no saving the world to be done. The world has already been saved. And yet, those were the words that they used. Not that I do it alone. Not by any stretch of the imagination that I do it alone. There's a whole passel of us here. But that's it. Save the world, basically. And I see that, you know, and that's the thing. Maybe had I known when I was little, I would have looked at other things and become distracted. Because there have been other things that have happened along the way that could have been very distracting to think, you know, oh, I need to help with this. But now here, where we are right now, is we're really at that precipice, because it's the technology that killed Atlantis. And it will be the technology that destroys Earth this time around, if we let it go that way. And so we're right. Okay, when I was born, no one would have believed that. The technology, what are you talking about, you know? I mean, because we weren't there yet. Now you can see it because people are being put out of jobs by robots on a daily basis. And so it's that we're at that place. There's this crisis access. And any way that it goes, though, here's the conundrum. Anywhere that it goes, it's divine. Even if we destroy it all, it's still divine because this is just our playground. It's just one of our experiments. So the thing is that if it goes that way and we let it fall apart and we let it be destroyed in the physical realm, you know, we can rebuild it, but it's really like, it's sort of like, it's almost, I mean, the sense that I have about it is that it's like, we're in the lab and we have the choice. And so if we let it just fall apart, then that's our choice. I don't know. I don't know. At some point it gets sort of a little hard to figure because that's the thing. They said, we need you, come. They baited me basically with this situation where I couldn't say no. And so here I am. So what is it I'm supposed to do? I don't know who's doing the heavy breathing.
Well, you just told us you came back here for sex, so you know.
I know, right?
You kind of interpreted that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So we have some more questions here, Lynda. So Henry, go ahead.
So my question is, given all that you've shared and the connection, what is the most, or what are the most important messages that are alive in you right now to help birth or to help facilitate the birth of the new, of what is awakening?
Beautiful, beautiful question. So I think that is, it's my understanding that it's all divine, that it's all divinity. And so it's really, we're being given like this like challenge, especially in our country, on the planet in general, but in our country specifically right now, in terms of how do we hold love for people who are taking things away from us? How do we hold love for people who actually would seem to be, honest to God, traitors to America? How do we love them? And the way that we love them is to realize that we're all one. There is nothing here that you can see that isn't connected to everything else. And so if we're in dissonance with our feelings about these people, then we're basically in dissonance with ourselves. So, and these concepts are not going to be concepts that people can understand unless they actually have self-love. And so that's really, I think, of all of the things that I've been given to do, nurturing people's ability to love themselves is the place to start. Because when you truly love yourself and know who you are, then you can't not love anyone else, because we're all one. We're all one. And so, go ahead. Question?
Who? I don't see any other hand, but
Okay.
we definitely want to keep the dialogue going, and anything else you'd like to share, Lynda, because we'll hand it over to Yemanya maybe at 20 past the hour.
Okay.
Okay, Julie?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm outside and it's breezy. Hey, Lynda, from my experience, when I had my early childhood experience, much similar to yours, I was older though. when I was 4 years old. Then I had another experience at 11, and I continued to have these experiences that were the guiding. I'm wondering if you've had a similar kind of experience on your life journey where you've continued to have these informative, guiding experiences throughout your life.
Wow, what a perfect question, because it segues right into Yemanya. It's really, wow, Julie, you are so connected. That's amazing. So, so my experience has been mostly the voices that I've heard. And I know in the womb and for some period of time after that, it was a collective. There were at least 3. Over time, though, it's really settled into being one voice. And although it's been constant, at a certain level, it's been constant. What's happened is the identity of that voice has become clear. And that's really the segue into Yemanya to a certain extent. So, I grew up with all of this, in my head of I was sent here and I have a job to do and I'm supposed to find somebody. And we don't have time to go into it now, but the whole sort of finding with somebody is a pretty funny story in and of itself. But because I did find him. The guy I married, the P, is the guy that I was supposed to find. And, I traveled all around the country looking for him. I looked in the delivery room for him. But so over time, so I end up here, and all of these things were, I just learned through life to more follow my guidance. And just even a lot of times it wasn't even a voice as much as it was just a pull on the heart, like just a thread that just went, okay, this is where you're going to go now. And then the other piece of my life is that it's really been like like the Golden Brick Road. Like anytime where I have a question, all I have to do is ask the question, and somehow the answer gets given to me. So or an email will show up in my box. And so an email showed up in my box several years ago from Ken Stone, who is the soul archaeologist. And he was having an embodied messengers workshop. And I don't know nothing. I didn't know him. I didn't know anything. And I just went, I have to go to that. Much the same way I was when I saw Barbara's ACE certification class. I was like, I have to go to that. So a lot of it was just that sort of impulse. Although there were voices sometimes, but they've got really quiet over the past, 20 years or so, or 30 years. The voices were a lot more quiet, and it was just more that heart thing. So I go to this embodied messenger thing 3 years ago, and I'm in this workshop, and it's like the next to the last day, and people are having all these breakthroughs and all this stuff's happening, and I'm like, oh my God, because I really feel like there's a whole bunch of us that have got to learn to walk on water. And there's a whole bunch of us that have got to learn how to manifest bread. And because everybody could do it. He did it. And all he was doing, and when I say he, I mean, most people call him Jesus. I call him Yeshua. But the only reason he was doing those things was to try and show us our power. And so I've always known that part of my job is to show people their power, and that means I have to have that power. And I mastered telekinesis back in the 80s, and then that freaked me out because at that point I didn't know what to do with that. So anyway, I'm in this workshop, and I'm just like in this meditation, and I'm like, just, please help me get this next level. And all of a sudden, I see myself in this dark, like forest with a stream coming through, and there's this beautiful little pond that it makes, and then it goes on off. And in this pond is Yeshua standing there, you know, in his white robe with a muslin coat over it, and he's standing in this pond. And he beckons me to join him in this pond. And so I go down into this pond, and I go up to him, and we're facing each other, and he takes me and he turns me around, and he draws me into him so that we meld, and we become one. And then he says a bunch of stuff, which I'm not going to take the time to go into now. But when I came away from that workshop, I had the very, very strong sense that we were one, that I had embodied, he had embodied, however that worked, but that I was walking around with him in me. And there were some conversations with him. But, you know, I really think even that was like more than I could handle totally, because it wasn't, again, so much more conversations after that, after a few days after that. It was more just the experience. And I came away from that thinking, okay, well, I have to heal everything that's wrong with my body, because if I'm Jesus, if Jesus is in me, there doesn't need to be anything wrong with me. There wouldn't be anything wrong with him. And so I took my glasses off, I healed my eyes, I healed my gluten intolerance. I used to have arthritis. I don't have that anymore. I'm not lactose intolerant anymore. I don't have to sleep with fancy pillows. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on and on. The only thing I'm aware of right now is I weigh too much. That's the only thing I have left to clear. So I had that experience. And then I had two more experiences of him, what I called at that time showing up, which was through Edward Mannix. And we were doing one-on-one work meditations. And in both of those times, Jesus showed up. And in one, I did this miraculous healing on a baby. And in the other, it was just this, well, the thing was, it was supposed to be your higher self. And it was like, that's who showed up. And Edward said, well, then that's who it is, you know? So I know you're wondering, how does this segue into Yemanya? But I'm getting there. So I've had this one-on-one experience with him 3 times. And this year, I haven't had it I had not had it this year. And I was like, really just wanting to have that experience again. And I've been asking him to show up, and he hasn't been showing up, and he hadn't been showing up. And I went to the Embodied Messengers workshop this year, and he didn't show up when I was there. And so then when I was at the conference and I signed up with Yemanya to do the 3 sessions, I mentioned that to her. I don't know, she and I talked about Jesus at one point. And then, so we did the first session at sunrise. And after that session, I can't say that I really felt any different. I might have felt like a little more peaceful, but there was so much other stuff going on from the ranch and then coming home and integrating all of that, that I'm not really sure I can say what I felt after that first session. Then I had a second session with Yemanya, and oh, okay, let me go back. The conversation when oh yeah, that's right. So this was Monday, I think it was the 12th of June. I was going to have this.
Hurry up and get to Yemanya, so let's.
Right. So it was the 12th of June, and I had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like I was processing this whole sort of intentional living and all this stuff. And I was processing being stubborn. A friend of mine had used the word stubborn, and she was using it as a virtue. And I was like, yeah, I don't think it's a virtue. I think like when I'm stubborn, I think that's not a good thing. And so I was processing all this stuff. I had this session with Yemanya, and the next night, and when I had the session with Yemanya, Yemanya had said to me, well, she said, my guides just said, you just have to ask Jesus and he'll show up. And I just kind of nodded and I said, yeah, okay. But what I was thinking in my head was, yeah, that's what I've been doing, and he hasn't been showing up. So I do my second session with Yemanya on the 12th of June. And that was an amazing session. And we did it remotely. So, but afterwards I felt really, really energized in a way that I wasn't expecting. And one of the other things that's interesting is that she was able to identify like these places in my grid where there were organs missing, and the light was going in there, but it was dark, and I figured it out that it was because there were organs missing in those spots, which I think is fascinating. So the next night, I'm going to bed. I've got all this stuff is processing in my head. I've got my grandchildren in the house, which I think contributed to the energy in the house. And I'm laying in bed and I'm contemplating stubborn. And I hear this voice that says, oh, you mean like you are about me? And I was like, what do you mean? And I proceeded to be lectured for the next, I don't know how long it was, half an hour, 45 minutes. I ended up having to get up and go downstairs and actually write it all down so I wouldn't forget it. But basically, and I attribute this insight and this ability to process this to Yemanya's work. Because of the opening that she created in the grid and my grid and the ability for the light to get in. Because he basically, what I learned is that the essence of Jesus, whatever you want to call him, Jesus, Yeshua, and it wouldn't even have to be him, it could be any other prophet like him, that spirit is actually in every single physical human being that's walking on the planet. It's just a matter of the individual connecting back to it. It's how we become one with Source again. And so it really kind of ties into the song I shared with you guys, that there's a little piece of heaven in every single human heart. We're all that. And so, I mean, in this lecture, like one of the things that I was told 3 years ago, I was told, you need to start wearing white. Then are you raising your hand? Unmute yourself, dear.
Thank you. We're just going to need to wrap up so we can pass the baton to Yemanya, so she's got.
Yeah, so we can.
What I was hoping we could do. I feel that the segue has been created.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Let's give Lynda some appreciation.
Thank you, Lynda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And more to happen. More to happen.
Yes.
It's exciting and amazing. Really appreciate it. Okay.
No, go ahead. So this is a beautiful segue, because I know you said something about that you had very powerful experience with Yemanya, and it just happened we had someone else scheduled. They dropped out, and I said, not knowing your connection, said, how about Yemanya being on the call? So it's all perfect. So yes, so I'm going to pass the gold sequins rhinestone talking stick to the beautiful Yemanya, who we had great time with a week ago at the Star House, in addition to CCC. So, yeah.
Thanks again, Lynda. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Yemanya.
Lynda.
I just want to do a time check. My clock says 7:26, so 7:25, so I have about 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Until the top of the
Top
hour.
of the hour.
So
Yep.
about 40 minutes. So let's.
Okay.
Lynda wanted to ask you something, maybe?
Yeah.
No, I just want to say I have a circle that starts at 5:30 my time.
Okay. So you need to go.
If people show up, I'm going to disappear So nothing personal, Yemanya. um,
Okay, love you, Lynda. Thank
Blessings,
you.
Lynda. Thank you.
Love you too. Thank you so much for this opportunity, you guys.
Thanks, Lynda, also for sharing your story. Thank you for bringing the gift of who you are to this call. Thank you for sharing what your journey has been, because within every journey that we express and share, it oftentimes activates things within ourselves and activates things for other people in their own personal remembrance. And that's what's the key is right now, is the remembrance. And so by you walking in the light, by you walking in your power, by you walking in your strength, you're giving other people permission to do the same. So thank you for that. And you know, wow. Hi everybody. Woo, it's nice to see some familiar faces. Yeah, woo, I'm just like, I'm super jazzed up to be here tonight. And I was sitting with, you know, what am I going to share? How do I share this? What wants to be birthed through me right now? What is the collective energy that wants to hear what I have to say? And so what came to me was actually what is directly across the street from me right now. And I'm going to teach from a metaphor. For those of you, I think most of you know who I am, but just a little bit about who I am. My name is Yemanya Carey. I'm an evolutionary change agent, master healer, spiritual mentor, and I'm a facilitator of vocal sound resonance and light language. So what that is I put a little video up for people if they needed to know a little more about what that is. But I basically am a conscious channel for light and sound. And so light moves through me through what's called light language, which is a language that is original language or soul language, and it bypasses the ego and speaks directly to the soul to create the awakening and like the opening of codes and remembrances and reforming DNA structures so that we are actually like coalescing into the next level of what is really being asked of us right now. And the sound as well, it's a vibrational frequency that breaks up old patterns and then activates and clears DNA and light codes as well. So I'm here kind of as the evolutionary change agent for the actual physical structure as well as the planetary structure of this new earth that we are birthing right now. So I run a company called Birthing a New Humanity, and that's it in a nutshell. And so that's a little bit about what I do. Yay! Thanks. So what I was saying is that I wanted to teach through a metaphor about where a lot of us are feeling, where we're at this transitional stage and we're knowing that something greater is being asked of us. So we're being kind of pushed or nudged to leave an old situation and step into the unknown. And it is the unknown. It is literally where spirit is saying, I can't tell you what's next, because if you know, you're going to meddle in it and you're going to mess it up. So I'm not going to tell you, but your biggest thing right now is to actually just be open and clear and present and move with the divine guidance that is given to you right now. I hate that place. And I love it. And I love it because it is such a beautifully expansive and like trusting and faithful and knowing that I am being like the divine channel for what is absolutely necessary in this moment. And this is what is being asked of us right now. So the metaphor. I just moved to Boulder about 6 weeks ago, and I'm in the house that I'm renting. Across the street is the oldest elementary school that has been in Boulder since I don't know how long, but it's been here for a very, very long time. And the people in the house next door to me that I'm renting from, they were telling me, well, yeah, there's a new school that's been built there, and so they're going to tear down the old school. And well, I never really went and explored the property. All I could see was the old school. I didn't see the new school that was being built or that was built. I just saw the old school. And then all of a sudden, all these construction workers coming in and giant trucks and like hoe type thingy dingers, I don't know what they're called, come in and they literally start smashing the building down. piece by piece by piece. And like this part of the school is gone within one day. And they're carting out truckloads and truckloads of bricks and cement and even dirt. And then the next day they come and I should show, I'll send a picture and I'll put it up on CCC so you can see. But and in the meantime, I'm watching these people drive by really slowly, and a lot of them stop, and a lot of them get out, and they look. And you can see like there's this process that's going on for them as they're witnessing this demolition of this school. And this school itself holds like pristine energy of Boulder. It's one of the original schools here. So, generation after generation of people are coming by to watch their old school be demolished. And I've had some very beautiful conversations with these people. And they're like, wow, I'm sad. And that's, and it feels like a piece of me is being taken away. And so I'm witnessing this, and more and more of the building is being taken down and carted away. And then all of a sudden I wake up one morning and I go out to my car and I can see the new school. The new school is actually built. I couldn't see it because the old school was in the way, but there's this new school. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. And the space that was where the old school was is being gently like re-manicured and remanufactured, and they're starting to bring in plants and like create stairs, and there's this whole new blueprint for where this school used to be and what the new structure is. So the metaphor within this, which is very profound, is that we are in that place right now. Last September, so we have these grids that run through the earth, and they're information grids. And they also run through the etheric, and they also run through our bodies. And there's grids that people have been going around the planet. Oops, can you see me? Am I on there? Okay. So there's these grids that run through, and they're elevating and activating into the new frequencies of what the new earth is that wants to be developed, and the blueprints are coming through. Now, we've been practicing with sustainable communities or regenerative communities, ways of co-collaboration, because that's the direction that we're going. But things really actually couldn't fully lock in until about last September, is when the field or the frequency within the grids of the earth could actually fully lock in, so that we could build these new structures, the new structures of government, the new structures of finance, new structures of education, the new structures of relationships, and basically the whole interrelation and communication web between the humans and the earth and the galactic couldn't fully be integrated into the new earth until about last September. Which I think is kind of interesting, because I have a feeling that's about the time when that new school was being built as well. But at the same time, we can't fully see these new structures being built yet. What we can see is just the old school being destroyed. And this is where we're at. This is why a lot of us right now are being asked to move into a different location, are being asked to transition relationships, are being asked to really fully move into who we are. Is because as this system is crumbling down, we have a whole new walkway or pathway into the new. But we're in the void space. We're in the crumbling space. We're in the deconstruction space. We're in that painful space where it's like, oh my God, you really want me to let go of that too? You really want to cart that away? And that is the healing process that sometimes we're not even conscious of. It's actually, just the light that's being like bombarded onto the planet right now through the solar flares and the planetary alignments, and things are really going to ramp up, and it's going to be a really deep internal reconfiguration with the eclipse that's happening. So we're in the void where we know that something new is coming. That void where we can feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's like, what's next? And, oh, what's next? and also feeling that we know what's next, and having to sit back into that faith and that trust and that listening. So then where we come from in that place is the reactivation of the divine imprint and blueprint of who we are. The next elevation, the next resurrection of the divine blueprint, the grid system that functions and manages within our body is being called forth to be activated and implemented and grounded and rooted within the new earth frequencies of the grid systems that are now activated and fully in process. So at that, I'd like to open up just for a few questions if anybody has any. If there's anyone who does, I can't see everybody. I see like 3 people. So if there's someone who has a question right now, just speak up.
Someone has a question, just raise your hand. We'll unmute you. And I'll go to the phones here. I'm going to unmute 605. It's on area code 605. Do you have a question or comment for Yemanya? No? Okay, then I'll go to area code 519. If you're unmuted, do you have a question or comment for Yemanya? Yes. Hello? Okay, I'm going to mute them.
Okay.
Anyone else have a question or comment?
I'm just going to trust that everybody's kind of on the wavelength. They understand what I'm talking about and that we're good and we're golden.
I think we're all okay. I'm good. Barb, you have a question? We're going to go over.
Well, I just wanted to have a comment that recently I have discovered that I can have what I want, but I don't know what that is. And so I think the realization that, you know, we're all one, we're all together, and we can do things. It's just trying to figure out what the heck it's supposed to be that we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I guess I'm just not supposed to know yet. I'll know when everything's broken, right?
Right. Right. And that's the thing, is we're all in different stages of the deconstruction, the void, and the rebuild. So there's that period of the not knowing, and this is where we get to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into ourselves, peeling away the layers so that we can start to really hear. Like, and the thing is sometimes we don't have to know, we just have to listen and take the next step and take the next step and take the next step, because that's actually taking us to where we're supposed to go. But the biggest problem with this that I find for myself and for other people is then we start to question, and then we start to be like, are you sure? And it may sound radically crazy that you're asking me to do, really? Are you sure? But I tell you, from situation after situation in my own personal life, it will come back and bite you in the behind if you do not listen and trust. It is just so much easier to take the radical plunge of what is being asked and trust, because we are all being carried right now. We are all being carried right now. Yes, Noelle.
Does anyone else have a question, or I'll ask one? Okay, we're going to go here to unmute. Okay, Talia.
Hi, and thank you, Yemanya, for that beautiful analogy.
My metaphor teaching.
Metaphor teaching, and because it's very similar, and many of us who have been working with Barbara Marx Hubbard recognize that as her metaphor of the caterpillar coming into the butterfly, and and then it hits you again, and it's like, oh, I mean, you forget.
Yeah.
And what's happening to my body anyway? Oh, your cells are, or these old cells aren't needed anymore. Just forget about them. You're developing new ones. The butterfly wings are forming. Just let it happen. Trust. You're all right. Oh boy. You know, and it's a big one. It really is a big one to just realize whatever way it comes to you, you know, if it's your body, if it's your whatever, You're not able to do things like you used to do.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then the way that we are being forced to actually reconsider old structures that we've clung to, like marriage is a really perfect example of that. And not to say that like traditional marriage is bad or wrong or like not where we're going, because it totally is. And yet there are these other structures that are moving within the dynamics of relationships that really that can push us out of our boundaries, that we're like, what? You know, like, oh, and we form these judgments about it. And then we're being asked to like let go of those judgments too. Like, oh, let me just sink into really how that actually could work that way. And maybe not for me. And then it's the reverbing back into ourselves. Now, does that work for me? Or is that working for them? And like you said, like the butterfly, and I'm forgetting the name of what it's called right now. The cells literally dissolve. The cells literally dissolve, but the coding in the cellular structure of the butterfly has the imprinting to create the butterfly from those dissolved cells. We're kind of like that in the sense that like the Homo sapien, and then Barbara has her word for it, where we're moving into this new structure. And that's part of why I'm here, is I'm here to hold people in the space of developing the new structures in their body, to refortify the systems, to bring in and hold the frequencies of higher light. And as we're bringing in those frequencies of higher light, we're dissolving even more of the patterns and traumas and judgments and projections and troubles and worries, so that we're actually becoming that new human. Mm-hmm. And so it's scary and painful, and the knowingness that our cells are already encoded with the knowledge of where we're going and what we're doing and what we're supposed to be. And if we can't,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Carey, go ahead. Carey Dennis.
I just wanted to say, one of the things that struck me today in my meditation is that you are an imaginal self. You are the imagination that is giving birth to the new life that is becoming on the planet. And that we're here to support one another in that developmental process, because you have to have so many imaginal cells before the structure begins to take place. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it remains a fluid. So as the imaginal cells begin to multiply and we begin to support one another, come together, share ideas, help one another, that's when we start building the new reality, the butterfly, the new experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. And the other thing is the reality is already built. Just like when that school got torn down, the school was already there. And there's a lot of people that I work with that are in that position of rebuilding the new structures. They're starting to implement that information. But what I also wanted to touch on with what you're saying is that, yes, it is. And it's what I call the remembrance. So as we move into the remembrance of ourself or the imaginal self, like I said before, we're activating and reigniting the remembrance for everybody else. And I work with what I call coherent field dynamic. So we bring a collective group of people together, and each one has its own unique frequency. Each person has its own unique frequency, vibration, and informational system that's coming through. And then we bring in more people, to create a cohesive group, which forms what I say kind of like a geometric shape of some sort. Right? And from this specific geometric shape of the collaboration of these unique frequencies coming together, we're actually able to open portals of information that we would not be able to access by ourselves. We're actually opening portals. This is the collaboration that we are looking at in the future. It's not about merging with other people. It's about being the individual self, and then what is created from that spark. So when we bring these collective individual frequencies together, we are actually opening these portals for new types of information to come through, to be birthed through us, so that those new structures, like you're saying, actually can come into fruition. Now, when we have this coherent field dynamic with people, you can feel it. Like if you've ever been in a ceremony or in a really, like, you know, sacred group of people where you've set a sacred container, and then one person leaves, you can feel the energy change. And if a new person comes in, you have to reconfigure like the energy frequency for what that new person was that came in. Not that it's bad, not that it's good, not that it's wrong, not that it's, you know, it's just what is. And then we are co-creating, right? We are co-creating a new collaborative effort. And so I was actually just talking with a girlfriend. I'm co-facilitating with a girlfriend who is a movement specialist and constellations, family constellations. And we were both just discussing how right now we are taking ourselves way too seriously, and that we need to actually have more fun and we need to play more. And like we're the topic of our workshop together is heart and soul theater, cultivating your new story. And we're going to be birthing these new stories through the like weave of this, like us facilitating and holding a specific field or energy, but for these people to actually birth into their own new creative story. And that's exactly it. We are birthing a new humanity. We are birthing the new story, and we already know it. We just have to remember. All right.
I'm taking the time. Kathy?
Yep.
First of all, I wanted to let everyone know that Yemanya was the star attraction at TED's monthly meeting in Boulder, and there were about 30 people there, and the energy that came through her was quite remarkable. I mean, people were like affected by it. And that's part of my question is, you connect people to their light grid or a light grid, or could you explain a little bit about, is it like you're flushing through our system and reconnecting like circuits that we disparate energies, or what do you do? It's really cool, but I don't understand it.
Okay. So there's a couple different ways that I work, and I'm going to try to keep this brief enough so that I can actually gift you guys all a really quick experience of what I do. But in the larger series work that I do, I work with the grid systems, and I work with activating. Sorry, my daughter is talking to me. What was that? I don't have any more headphones. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I work with activating the divine starseed, which I don't know if you can see it, but that's in the xiphoid process, which is right here, that little bone that sticks down off of your sacrum, or your sternum. There's a little tiny bone there. And that's our little protective grid for this divine starseed, which is like the blueprint of who we are. And so what I do is I activate that, and then I move that frequency in through the body so that we have instantaneous activation and remembrance of what that is. So that we're not like searching from this place. But even if we I think it was Barb that was saying, she's like, I just don't know. Yes, you're right. You just don't know. And it's already in there. It's activating down into the cellular remembrance. So I'm reactivating the divine blueprint for instantaneous access. So that's the first session. The second one is I go into the grid systems. There are several different kinds of grid systems that move through. Some of them contain information of like new information that you need to like retain within your body. That's going to activate you moving forward more into the divine blueprint. That's one type of session that I do. The other one, the main one, is I work with 3 grid systems in the body that pertain to the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual bodies. And what they do is, like, over time, they're your grid systems. They're what you have been living with your whole life. which is why they're like a fishnet stocking or like a nylon. So you've been wearing them your whole life. And you know, like after you wear a pair of nylons, well, maybe men don't know this, but they watch, you know, girlfriends or wives, that they get tears and runs and holes, and life kind of takes a beating on them. And so our grids actually retain the information of traumas and experiences that we've had. So I go back in and I reweave them back into perfection, so they look like they did when you came in from birth. And I merge the 3 grids together so they're vibrating together and communicating together, and they're not in you know, in turmoil with one another. They're actually in a harmonic convergence. So then for the ascension aspect, I actually access the Christ consciousness grid, and I merge that frequency back down through the grid system. So I'm reawakening the Christ codes in that grid, and I merge it down into the DNA and cellular level. So what most people respond to is that, you know, they find that divine synchronicity starts to open up. They have a sense or feeling of things that used to really bother them, like don't affect them at all anymore. They have physical healings, they have emotional healings. There's like a whole broad spectrum of things, but what it really does is it brings us back into grace, and it brings us back into that next level. And then what it does is it also opens up for spiritual rapid evolution, because we are refortifying these grids with a higher frequency of light that's dissolving this stuff and then activating. It's like this cycle that continues and continues and continues. So once we get there, we keep building and building and building and bridging and clearing and activating higher through this light grid. So then that's a little bit about what I do with the soul matrix activation work. So does that answer your question a little bit, Kathy? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, do you guys want a little bit of a sound healing experience? Is everybody like good with that?
I want the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
and if you can make me taller too.
I know, we're working on that one, Kathy. We're working on it. You're actually very tall.
I have to wear high heels. I think it's just. Anyway.
You were just lucky you got to squish your little, like your huge spirit into a tiny little body for a more powerful.
No, I have a big aura. I just don't have a big body.
They have to be ruby slippers.
I also just really quick, I want to introduce you guys to my daughter. Everybody's been asking, so here she is. And she's the future. I unhooked the thing so you can talk. Oh. So this is the future. This is why we are doing this. They're the ones that are going to come in and implement what we set up. And they're holding such a high frequency of love and profound wisdom. These guys are little masters. They are our teachers. They are our teachers. 100%. We have to remember and look at them for their wisdom, as well as us. We're not their parents, we're their guides. We're not their grandmas, we're their guides. We're their protectors to keep them safe, but we're the ones learning from them. Just had to plug that. This is my baby. This is Rhea.
Please come and bring your friends to the next Convergence.
Yeah.
We want to hear your wisdom.
Okay.
All right.
I have lots.
Perfect.
I have lots of that.
Wisdom. Oh, that's cute. Cute.
All right, so I'm going to take you guys into a quick sound thing. If you have headphones, I find that it works a lot better for the transmission in the sound. It kind of gets a little broken up over the internet. And I'm actually, like, Kathy, you were asking about, do I plug you in? So yes, I actually can plug you into the new Earth grids too. And I think see what time is it? Well, it's going to be a really quick plug-in. We'll try to do it.
Well, you can take a little bit longer if people want. Yeah, they like extension.
Are we in agreement with that? Okay. All right. Yeah. It'll still be a little quick. But
we say good night and mahalo and aloha. But yeah, don't do your thing.
Thanks. All right. So everybody plug your earphones in if you can. If not, it's okay. And find yourself in a comfortable position. So closing your eyes. Again, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. And I always like to breathe into the heart and bringing in the golden light of the Christed consciousness of the 12th ray of the golden light into the heart space. The heart is the space of the ascension. Moving inward. We don't have to go outward for the ascension. We move inward. The kingdom of heaven lies within. And we are the bridge of heaven on earth. So when we find the kingdom of heaven within, then we are bridging ourselves onto the earth. So breathing deep golden light into the heart, expanding the heart light so that it actually radiates just a little bit out past the body. And then on the inhale, bringing it back into the center of the heart. And with each one of these breaths, your heart will expand, radiating the light out just a little bit further. And then breathing the heart light in. Breathing, exhaling out. Breathing the light in. And then pulling that heart light in just for a second and imagine it growing brighter and brighter, like the sunlight as it hits this rosebud. And the rose will have the light open and open the petals. And in between the heart and the spaces of this rose petals, the light moves in into every little crack and crevice. Just allowing it to gently unfold even brighter to receive in more light. And as we are the bridge into the new earth, we take this heart energy and on the exhalation, we breathe it up through the crown chakra and up into the heavens, up into the gridded Christ consciousness of the universe of oneness, knowing that we are all one. The etheric space of expansion, lightness. And then the inhalation, when you feel ready, bring it in through the crown and back into the heart. And then on the exhalation, now we breathe it down through the body into the central core of the earth. The crystalline core, like a monkey tail, this golden light wraps around the heart frequency of the earth and the heart merging together, feeling the stability, the strength, the sturdiness, the support, the love that the earth has to offer us. And then bringing those earth field frequencies back up into the heart space. And just here, there is the union between heaven and earth. So with a secular breath, we breathe out up into the heavens, collecting the light of the celestial kingdom, breathing into the heart, bringing it down. Exhaling down into the earth, down into the crystalline core grids, and then back up into the heart. And allow yourself to just move with your own breath as your body becomes the conduit and channel between heaven and earth. The frequencies and fields of the codes of the higher realms, as well as the new earth that is being birthed in this moment. And just allow yourself to have a couple more cycles of the heaven and earth. And then merge those two frequencies back into the heart. And imagine yourself standing on the earth barefoot, someplace in nature, one of your favorite places in nature. And your feet are just touching like the soft grass or the soft earth, maybe the sand that's warm, wherever that place is, and you feel the earth between your toes. And feel the gentle sunlight on your skin. And there's a beautiful earth grid, the new earth grid that is now activated and ready. is pulsing, a beautiful information, pulsing, a web of light through the earth, like a heartbeat. It communicates to all the sacred temples and all the sacred structures. The information web that beams back down to us, letting us know exactly where we need to be, who to speak with, how to walk, how to express. And allow this beautiful cycle and web of information between the earth and the temples as you become the antenna of the information. Yandia samblayane ko yandia yane. Vrombia santia la kiandia fondia la kia santia tianiabo. Fondia satiana ko yandia vlaindia satiana ki. Umblayane sianda kia dromaya satrayana ko. Yandia vondia sikia yanoeo eo eo eo. Yandia samlayane eo 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 eo. Deep breath into the heart space, expanding to receive more. Yandia samlayane eo hamlayane eo. Vrandia samlayanae o hamlayanae o hamlaye o hamlaye o hamlaye o hamlayanae Vrandia samlayanaki o hamlayanayana Vrandia samlayanake o hamlayanae Namae Hom Nayanae Namae Hom Nayanae O Yandia Samlayanaki Atnomayanaki O India Sandia Brom the Kianai Brom dia Sandiana Kiana Yatum Blom the Ariana Muku Rondia Santia Sambumba Undia Santia Mrayana Kiasam Blom Yaniaki Dia Sandia Tromba Sandaya Nayakwaya Nayasa. Deep breath into the heart space. And feeling that trickle of light from that new earth grid moving up through your feet, into your legs, into the cells of every part of your body, moving up through the abdomen, the chest, the arms, the neck, the head. That beautiful etheric light just trickling deeper and deeper and deeper into the cells, helping to be the guidance and the remembrance of where each footprint falls, your specific frequency, your specific gifts are activating a remembrance for the earth as well as the people who walk it. Yandia santraya nekitu no maina, dia yandesi brondiana kiatran. Vondia santiania ko umbromiana kiaratia, vondiasi atiane kiana. And tuning back into the heart space again, feeling the golden light. Just breathing it in and out, expanding the heart space, and then bringing it back into center. Golden lighting expanding into a golden sun, and then bringing it back into center of the heart. Hearing the whisper hearing the whisper of your soul, hearing the whisper of spirit as it guides you, hearing the whisper of the earth as you work in co-creation with the earth and her wisdom. Yandia Sambuyanai. Just allow yourself to slowly come back into the room. Taking deep breaths in and out. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Just ripped my earphones out. So we did go a little bit long, so I want to be sensitive to that. And I just want to thank you all for giving me the space and the time to share with you a little bit about what I do and my gifts. Ooh, what's that noise?
Friends.
Yes. Did you hear that? That's awesome.
Yeah, what is that?
Like she said, my friends are here. It happens a lot when I'm working with technology. When I bring in higher frequencies, I'll get a lot of weird disturbances that happen. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. And yes, I am doing a lot of events here in Boulder right now, and I am actually putting together, Kathy knows I was using her whiteboard, putting together, and I think I'm going to offer it as like a 10-day like free video series for right now. That's working into kind of honing into the like our divine purpose, and it's a real fun foundation of it. Real foundation practices and exercises that we can do to really kind of cultivate that stuff. So, you know, are you? Yeah, you have a question? Okay.
I think can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just to affirm in collective consciousness the sourcing of information from sound, from energetic knowing. This to me is what you're activating and reminding us of. To listen to those frequencies as a source of information and releasing our attachment to linear thought. So that's why we all feel so crazy.
Yes. Yes. And Noelle and Bob came to one of my workshops where I was trying to explain spherical reality versus the linear, like cyclical two-dimensional reality. And you are 100% correct. We have to expand our thinking beyond the linear of what we have actually been living in. Because we energetically, etherically, and even impulsively, frequency-wise of light, are communicating on so many different levels and dimensions and parallel universes. And not only are we communicating like beacons to that, but they're beaconing back to us. It's this beautiful web of communication that's happening. And it is. And the key is to tune into the cycles of the planet and tune into the earth, because that is what is going to help us ground these larger concepts of the unlinear. The unlinear.
And listen in the moment. That's really the call. Don't plan anything. Ha ha ha. Just be present and love what shows up.
Yeah.
The best we can.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Love you.
But Well, the other thing is, when you say love what is, you can also hate it. And that's the biggest thing, is we have to actually acknowledge the feelings that we have around a situation. We have to move through the deeply rooted aspects of those situations. When we have old patterns that show up for us, oh, you know what? Feel the anger, feel the hurt, move through it, because then it can move so that we can love it and not have the attachment or the emotional attachment.
We still have to love the shit.
Yep, we do, but we have to like feel it too.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's why we're retarded.
Love you. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. If anyone has another quick question. Hi, Amy. Okay. And, oh, from Lynda to everyone, big hugs and kisses. Yay. Thank you, Lynda. And yeah, so most of you know me, but you can find me on Facebook under Yemanya Carey or Birthing a New Humanity. And my website is birthanewhumanity.com. So if you want to check out more, I'm actually hoping to be rebranding and making myself look really cool soon. And I hope to be doing more stuff online. That's my goal this year, is to really start creating programs and bringing in more online work, so that I can start touching more people. It's time. Like, I need to, like, you know, I want to love you all. So any help with that, if you like what I do, I'm always appreciative of word of mouth, because that seems to be the best. So, and it's so many blessings to you all. Thank you. Thank you, Noelle and Bob and all my friends from CCC. All my friends from CCC who showed up tonight. Oh, it's so nice to see you guys. Yay.
Well, before we close, thank you, Yemanya, and we love you, and we love
Thank you.
And this is what CCC is about, is getting our members work out there, and also our members are always welcome to bring in other guests that they think would be of interest to our membership, which is free and online.
Let's call it a community.
Our community. Before community, I do want to say that I have a message from Jennifer about the possible dates for Dominer. I will be posting this, and I will be sending this out in email. But there's 4 possible dates that she put out. All of them involve a full moon. The first one is June 20th to the 30th, 10 days.
Say that again.
June 20 through 30th. That includes the full moon and the summer solstice. Another date possibility is June 27th to July 7th. That's over the 4th of July weekend. And it also includes a full moon ritual. It's also over the 4th. The third date is September 20th through the 30th. That's also the equinox is September 23rd, and also the full moon is on the 24th. So that's also another interesting date. And the last one is October 24th through November 5th.
Is that 2018 or 2017?
This is all 2018. And so I'll be posting that, you know, she can take more than one group. She can go more than one time. And so I'm just going to put it out there. You know, I'll put the dates up there if anybody wants to start saving for it or put it in your bucket.
How much do you think it would be? How much should we save?
Well, when we went, it was about $2,500 and plus our airfare. But everything else we got there was pretty much inclusive. And we just showed, we had our doctor and his wife over last night and showed him the Dominer movie. It's an hour long, and it's spectacular. So I'm thinking one time I might just do a Zoom call and say, who wants to watch a Dominer movie? Yeah. It really is very, very good. I wish I'd seen it before we went, but I didn't. But but it's really great. Whether you're going or not, you'll be able to appreciate some of the beauty there and a lot of what goes on there.
It's a documentary by someone who has a little skepticism in himself. He's from the U.S. It was done in 2009, so it's not a real professional production, and it's not
good.
And it's not a promo piece done by Dominer either. So it really is very. We saw it with Kathy in Boulder the week after. So yeah, it's excellent. Maybe we could schedule that as an off off third Thursday.
If somebody be
sometime.
interested in that, we can do that and have Jen on. She can't make Thursday nights because she has clients Thursday nights. So,
And obviously, if we did the last one of the trip, we'll all need to do absentee vote, right?
Well, September one's during my birthday.
Well, there you go then.
Oh,
There you go.
I was
Talk to somebody
liking
about a birthday gift.
I was liking the September one myself.
And if you watch the movie, we all have to have popcorn.
Yeah.
Non-GMO popcorn.
Yeah.